Welcome back, guys. I just made this extra little review of word problems. So unit 1A for 11U math. Word problems, WP right here. We're going to go through a couple word problems that involve completing the square. The first ones are traditional word problem. It's a good one. It is somebody is throwing something out of a balcony, garbage or whatnot, and they throw it and it lands somewhere. And the question is this: how high does the garbage go? What's the maximum height of the garbage? And then also, when does this maximum garbage height take place? So there's your equation for the height of the garbage at a given time being t, and you work your way through it by completing the square. So step one, divide out the a, which is -3. Watch here that you make sure that you're careful here when you divide plus 30t. And I made my t's kind of funny because I realized at one point that these t's kind of look a little bit like the brackets. So these are all t's, these weird looking things here. So anyway, so plus 30 divided by -3 gets me minus 10t here. Work my way through. I'm going to take half of -10 and square it twice. First, I'm going to add it, then I'm going to subtract it. Leave everything in the square brackets. Open up those brackets. Multiply. Sorry, before I open up the brackets, I will look to these three terms here. These three terms here make this perfect square. T minus 5 squared. And then this guy over here, minus 5 squared. I square it, becomes positive, but it's subtract, so it becomes negative. And don't forget that every time anything is in, once you get to this step here, the fourth term here, and you square it, it's always negative. When you square it, it becomes positive, but then you subtract it, so this is always a minus term here. But that will change when I open the brackets up because I'm multiplying everything in the bracket by -3. So -3 times this term is -3 times t minus 5 all squared, and then -3 times minus 25 turns into plus 75. Now I deal with the 2. The 2 didn't have anything to do with anything before that. Now it's involved, and I add it to 75 to get 77. So my vertex would be 577. And again, if you're throwing something off the balcony, it's going up. It's going up, and then it's coming down. So it has initial height, and then it goes up, and then it lands lower. That's fine. And what we get from this is that this is really my t, and this is my h of t. Okay, usually this is my x, and this is my y, right? The 5 would be x and y. But t has been replaced by x. It's my independent variable. And 77 has, sorry, y has been replaced by h at t. So my maximum height is 77. There goes the bell. And when does that take place? It takes place at 5 seconds. So if the question was, what's the max height? 77 meters. When is that 5 seconds? The only other thing I want to do is talk about how I might ask you, what is the initial height, or what's the height of the balcony? Two ways to look at this. One is to realize that this is in fact the y-intercept. This is c in ax squared plus bx plus c, and that's my y-intercept, so that's my initial height. Another thing to do is to find h at 0 and just sub in zeros for t here and here, and you get 0 plus 2, and either way you get 2 as your initial height. Okay, so that's your that's a really good word problem. I think that's a great use of quadratics. Another way we use quadratics is this one. Let me cover it. Don't look, don't look, don't look. Stop cheating, okay? And I just discovered something. If you tap on this, I can change the color of my screen. Let's go 3 more and see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Pink. Let's go. So 2 numbers with a max product that add to 22. So I want to get the max product of 2 numbers that add to 22. And I'm going to give this away, okay? It's always going to be half of the number. So the 2 numbers are going to be 11 and 11. But that's fine. That's great. But what we're going to do is we're going to work our way through this, and we're going to figure out how to prove that that is the case. And then we'll also find out what the maximum product is. So the first step is to make set your variables, to explain your variables. And I'm going to let x and y be the numbers. And please do that. X and y, you don't have to use x and y, but we're used to doing that. Next step is to come up with a couple of equations. And the first one is going to be that I would, oh, another pink, that I'm going to have x and, what's going on here? X and y add to 22 because they add to 22. And then I rearrange this. I could rearrange for y, but I decided to rearrange for x. X is equal to 22 minus y. Bring that y over there. The other thing is that I'm dealing with a product. Product means multiply. So x times y is my product. And then I'm going to sub in 1 into 2. So you could write that here, sub 1 into 2. So x is replaced by 22 minus y, and then I multiply 22, I multiply y times 22 and y times minus y. And once I rearrange, I end up with y minus y squared plus 22y. Make sure you get that. So I kind of skipped a step. 22 times y is this. 22 times negative y is negative y squared. Now over here, I'm going to complete the square. And it's not going to let me do this. I'm going to complete the square. And when I do that, first step is to get the negative out of the in front of the y squared, and when you do that, you have to change this sign here to negative. Then I take half of negative 22, which is negative 11, I add and subtract it. It's square. Clean up these three terms into y minus 11 all squared. 11 squared is 121, and again, it's negative, and there's always negative. And then when I open the brackets up, though, it's going to change the sign. It's going to be positive once again. So my maximum is this here. This is my vertex, or my maximum is 121. And my answer is that y is 11 when I get a product of 121. The only last thing I have to do is prove that x is also 11. And I go back to this statement here, that x is equal to 22 minus y. So I put in y is equal to 11 here, and I find that that's in fact the case. Then you want to state that and say max is 121 when x and y are both equal to 11. Okay, and that's it. Those are word problems. This is a little strange. Get used to this stuff. Get used to setting it up. Okay, go over your notes, and we have a couple examples in the class. Okay, that's it. Go do your review and take care. Bye.